All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be the latest entry in the series, Are You With a Liberal Black Woman? And the reason why this series is going to continue to be ongoing is because it's very important, extremely essential, that many of you cats out there who seem to be quizzical when it comes to the meanderings and the machinations of the woman, step your game up with your level of understanding. It'll stop you from being traumatized. And there are so many brothers out there who are dealing with PTSD from relationships. It stops you from being able to ascend to a higher level of comprehension, which is what we're going to need to prepare for the transition over to the so-called black man having a ruling class mentality so that he can rule. You cannot rule without a ruling class mentality. And as long as you're continuously being flummoxed by a lot of the machinations of the liberal woman, you're never going to be able to stand stable on your feet. All the time that you're spending trying to track this woman down and obsessing over what she's doing or what she has planned for you next, it's time that you should be spending trying to augment yourself, your mind, your spirit, your body if need be, to improve yourself. Because once you make yourself the best version of who you are, you're never going to have to worry about the woman, because most of these bras out here are lonely, and to be quite frank with you, they're desperate. A lot of people might not like me saying that, but it's okay. My channel is a pro-truth channel geared towards the so-called black man. Our job is to uplift the woman, but not willfully. She's going to be uplifted once she understands that her focus should be to make the man happy. She does not have that focus right now because everything has been turned upside down, and the so-called black male is concerned with her happiness as opposed to appeasing the Most High, placating the Most High and making him happy, and making ourselves the best versions of ourselves. We uplift the woman by making her understand that it is her job to make us happy, not by kissing their ass and simping and things of that nature. But just to get back to this case here, we're going to see exhibit A of a toxic relationship, a toxic rapport between the so-called black male, and I use that term male, not man, and a liberal black female. We're going to see how he constantly is starting to worry about things that are beyond his control because he's trying to maintain a facade. Brothers, there's reality and there's fantasy or delusion or a facade. These females do not belong to us. You have to hope and pray to the Most High that he gives you a stable enough mind to understand how quickly things can transition in this carnal world. There's nothing permanent in this world. All you can do is put your best foot forward and make yourself as profitable to yourself as possible. That's all you can be concerned with. The woman could be your best friend on Monday and your worst enemy by Wednesday. Who the hell knows? So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
May now be seated.
Start with you.
I met Mr. Walker.
Brothers, you see this right here? She starts off her soliloquy with, I met Mr. Walker. Trying to sound all prim and proper, but look at her damn neck. She has a butterfly with a skull tattooed over her throat. So you already know that most likely, and there's nothing against her, she most likely has mental issues. And whenever I see people who are so eager to tattoo all over their body, especially in odd locations like that, it tells me that there's something from their childhood that traumatized them, where they could possibly be molestation, rape, physical abuse, things of that nature. Those are things that brothers should really watch for. Females that have tats all over their neck and up and down their arm, the tattoo sleeves, all over their breasts, things of that nature, clit rings and and craziness like that. That's someone who's trying to let you know without telling you that they've been through a hell of a lot. And if you're intent on being with them, you're going to have to endure a hell of a lot.
November of 2014, and we met on the chat line. From there, we hit it off. We had a good friendship. We had a lot in common.
Supposedly. Brothers, you ever notice how much you have in common with people when you first meet them? You know why that is? Because the woman, being the child that she is always looking for something to occupy her mind. She wants excitement. So in order for her to establish the connection with the new man, she has to act as if she's accommodating. It's what I call the infatuation phase. I've touched on this in previous videos. When the woman is infatuated with you, she agrees with you on everything. She likes all the food that you like, all the movies that you like, the books that you've read, they like those books too. And if they haven't read them, they act as if they're interested in reading them. They're mesmerized by this and mesmerized by that. But after a while, once the infatuation phase wears off, that's when you're finally going to start to get an understanding of who and what you're actually dealing with. You'll start to see how quickly the female gets exasperated over every little thing, or how negative she tends to be as a default mechanism. Those are the situations that you really have to scrutinize to decide and determine how much further the relationship is going to go.
How long did you all chat before meeting?
We maybe a few months after that.
Really? Why so long? Did you all live in the same town?
We lived in the same town, yes.
Damn, this game that slow?
The reason why it took so long is because she was most likely talking to other men. He was just a little nice nerdy guy that she was talking to. He was probably number 4 on the depth chart. It's probably the baby daddy, the so-called thug that she met going to the corner store to buy some cigarettes, who just got out of prison. And she was feeling him, but it didn't work out. He probably blazed it once and never called her back. Then you got the other guy, maybe that she met at the temp agency or some shit like that. It took that long because, as Judge Mathis already stated, his game is a little slow, but also he was probably number 4 or 5 on the depth chart.
Go ahead.
So, Your Honor, during the time of me meeting him, I was not in a stable housing situation, so...
You mean you were not in a stable frame of mind? Brothers, whenever you say that something in your life is not stable, it's because you're not stable. If you're at a job and you say this job environment is not stable, you know why that is? It's because you're not stable, or not stable enough to come to terms with the fact that you have to extricate yourself from that environment. For many years I worked in corporate America, and I would tell the other brothers who were there, oh man, there's too much feminine energy here. Or the management is not intelligent. They don't understand how to change paradigms to make things better. And you know all that was? That was me projecting my own inability to actionize myself and what I needed to do, which was to leave that environment and do something that was going to fulfill my soul. It was about me. It wasn't about them. Basic people are going to be basic their whole lives. If you're not basic and you choose to be around basic people, you're torturing yourself. But just to get back to the point, this person you're talking about, she was in a non-stable living situation. It's because she's not stable. That's why. And you'll be on the phone with certain people, whether male or female, and they're always conversing to you about how they don't get along with this person, and they don't get along with that person, and they don't get along with their family, and they don't get along with their siblings, they don't get along with their children, they don't get along with their baby daddy, or they whoever, their colleagues. You know why that is? It's a them issue. You understand? They have a problem self-analyzing. And it's only when we start to self-analyze that we begin to improve our lives.
Mr. Walker asked me to come live with him in his home.
Hey, he was doing everything he can by then. He wanted you to move in, drive the car.
She said Mr. Walker asked her to move in somewhere down the line because she was in an unstable environment. What that translates to is he was number 4 on the depth chart. He was the nice guy, and he was the only guy who had a place for her to stay, who was willing to allow her and her children to live with him.
Go ahead. So
I moved in with Mr. Walker. We hit it off in the beginning. We discussed.
Everybody hits it off in the beginning. You had to hit it off in the beginning with him because you were excited and you were grateful. He was the new guy.
Having children together, and at that time I decided that would not be the right thing for me to do.
Why?
Well, given my current situation, I was busy and I had...
She stated that Mr. Walker wanted to have children with her, but she decided that it was not the right thing for her. It's just tripping me out that she's trying to talk all proper. It's like, give me a break.
endeavors with other children.
Okay.
And I just I needed to focus on those things. That's what was important for me at that time.
Good. How did things go when you all were living together?
You know what, brothers? Let me rewind this back a little bit. Just a little bit.
Can't by them. He wanted you to move in, drive the car, everything. Go ahead. So
I moved in with Mr. Walker. We hit it off in the beginning. We discussed having children together. And at that time, I decided that would not be the right thing for me to do.
What?
You moved in with him after 4 months and discussed having children. So that's not child, not one, but multiple. So that means what? The defendant is a simp. And she was just going along with it and trying to appease him because, once again, she clearly needed somewhere to stay because she probably had nowhere else that she can go where people wanted to be around her.
Well, given my current situation, I was busy and I had other endeavors with other children.
Okay.
She's talking like she a businesswoman or something. I had other endeavors with other children. And there were various phalluses all across the New York tri-state area that I was interested in sampling.
I needed to focus on those things. That's what was important for me at that time.
Good. How did things go when you all were living together?
On and off.
Hey, brothers, you hear that? On and off. How the hell could things be on and off and you're staying at that other man's place? It's very clear that eventually the infatuation phase wore out, most likely very quickly, especially when she started to understand that it was a quid pro quo situation where he wanted a lot more from her than she was willing to give. She was at a state where she needed a place to stay, so she had to put on an act. She probably got tired of acting, so that led to arguing.
And colds.
What were the problems?
There was a lot of jealousy between him and I.
What that translates to is he realized that he was number 4 or 5 on the depth chart and that there were other dudes that she was talking to who just did not want to move her in. Brothers, please, understand this, okay? There is no such thing as a male friend, okay? The modern day female will try to convince you of certain fallacies that she tells herself. The woman loves to lie to herself. That's how she tries to convince other people. Women know that there's no such thing as a male friend. In the same way, if you're with your lady and it's something that's serious, if you were to all of a sudden develop a quote-unquote friendship with a female at work or that you met somewhere, the woman's not going to believe that. She's going to understand that that woman is trying to take her man, especially if that woman is single. But even if she has a man, the woman is going to understand intrinsically that that woman has her eyes on her man. So when you start to hear this nonsense about, oh, well, you know, he's jealous and things of that nature, the least you could do is cut off the other dudes that you were talking to if this clown right here was kind enough to move you in. But then again, why would you be kind to a simp? A simp is there to be walked over. He's not there to appease in any way or to make him feel comfortable. That's why I make these videos. I easily could have cast this under the Simp Chronicles series. But brothers have to understand that this world that we live in is configured a certain way, and we have to understand the rules. You cannot get frustrated by how things go, searching out some type of sensation or emotional gratification. You have to lead with your logic, your rationale. That's extremely important, and that's the only way that the woman is ever really going to respect you, when she sees that you're not going to fall for her bullshit games.
Was the jealous party?
He thinks that I talk to other men.
Because you do.
Other men the same way I met him. And he got jealous of my family, my sisters. He didn't like me.
Was he really jealous of your sisters, or did he start to understand that your sisters were most likely trying to hamstring his attempts to build a relationship with you? Let me wind this back just a tad bit.
With other children.
Okay.
And I needed to focus on those things. That's what was important for me at that time.
Good. How did things go when you all were living together?
On and off, hot and cold.
What were the problems?
There was a lot of jealousy between him and I.
Who was the jealous party?
He thinks that I talk to other men. I was texting other men the same way I met him. And he got jealous of my family, my sisters.
Brothers, please understand that the same way that you meet the woman is how things are going to disintegrate. You can't make a habit or a tactic of trying to poach other men's women and be the quote-unquote side dude, and then when you decide to take on a female and take her seriously, be upset if some other man comes and poaches your quote-unquote woman in the same way. You lose them how you got them.
Because you were closer to them.
I was very close to my sisters.
And that's the main problem. Once again, we could talk about the woman all day, but where is the code of respect between men, particularly between the so-called black man, so that we can maintain the woman within the parameters that she needs to be maintained within, so that she understands I can't go to some other dude and get a whole different code. I have to just abide by the overall code, because if I try to step out of bounds and go somewhere else, I'm going to be thoroughly rebuked. there's no check and balance for the liberal woman. That's why she's allowed to gain greater and greater strength and prominence in this society. It's due to the men not inhibiting a lot of their baser aspects. Pussy is great, but at the end of the day, pussy is everywhere. You don't have to go and try to poach the next man's woman and things of that nature.
I'm still very close.
Now that happens, but how did he figure or think or imagine you were cheating? Were you chatting with other men like you were chatting when you met him?
Yes.
And living with him?
Yes.
Well, the only person I was talking to at the time was my daughter's father.
Hey, brothers, you hear that? Understand something. When you decide, or if you decide, to establish a relationship with a woman who has a child or children, the quote-unquote baby daddy is always going to be in the picture. I'm going to say it again. The quote-unquote baby daddy is always going to be in the picture. And please grasp this about the mind and the spirit of the woman. For her to say to herself, not only am I going to receive this man's phallus, but I'm also going to receive his sperm. And once his sperm fertilizes my egg, I'm going to hold the fetus within my womb for 9 months, give birth to this child. What is she saying? For the most part, going into the 99th percentile, what she's saying is that this is a guy that I want to have a future with. So for her to make that commitment with that man, that means that at any point, she could have a flashback where she wants to lay down with or sneak around with or try to rekindle that relationship with that man again. Always understand that when you deal with these females who have a child or children with another man.
And that was just a relationship established just to see how the girl, my daughter, was doing.
Okay.
Allegedly.
And sir, let me hear from you on this.
Okay, so we met on the chat line. That's
And brothers, just as an aside, not to digress, but you see this brother's hair here. He has a quote-unquote perm. That was a style that was very prominent amongst the black Europeans in the Middle Ages. As a matter of fact, King John, who was the antagonist to Robin Hood, looked a lot like this brother right here. Short and squat with a perm in his hair. And he was a so-called black man, by the way. King John of Robin Hood lore. But that's a whole other video for another day.
and pretty much that was in 2016 though. You know what I mean? And she was a great woman. You know, she's beautiful,
Supposedly, she was a great woman.
smart, all that. And after meeting her, we was on the chat line for a little while. Then 4 months later, she moved in with me, and we really made things serious when she moved in. And I took her seriously when she
You
moved in.
go to church?
That was your first problem, bro. He says that he took her seriously when she moved in. Brother, it takes years to understand whether or not a woman is serious about you. She could be serious about the relationship, but it doesn't mean that she's serious about you. What's the difference? The difference is that she could be serious about the relationship and that she wants to try to dictate terms on how you and her are quote-unquote supposed to grow together, but that does not mean that she gives a fuck about you or that she cares about you as an individual. You could just be a prop. A lot of these females out here who call themselves girlfriends or wives, they look at their boyfriend or their husband like a purse or like a pair of shoes. You understand that? It takes a very long time to determine how down a female is for you. So all that time that you're spending trying to figure out if that woman really loves you or not, make sure that you're investing and that you care about your damn self. So I always say you should not be trying to initiate a serious relationship with a woman unless you have your own place and a steady income. That makes no sense whatsoever. You're asking for nothing but trouble if you try to create a quote-unquote boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic, especially anything approaching quote-unquote monogamy, and you don't even have your own place. Money's always going to be a major issue.
I'm aware of the Bible. I don't go to church regularly.
You spiritual?
I'm aware of the Bible. I don't go to the church regularly.
Okay, you have to go. Okay. Do you try and obey? You believe in Christianity and you wanna go to heaven? All right. So why y'all fornicating? We got 2 admitted fornicators. I bet they don't run y'all out to church, but because those are sins. And the point I'm getting to, and I always have to reinforce this: the church really comes down hard on homosexual folk.
Now, brothers, If you happen to watch Judge Mathis, especially in the last few years, he's really gone out of his way to become a proponent of homosexuality, lesbianism, and transgenderism. It's very obvious that this dude here is a pansexual. There's no doubt about that. Of course, everything I'm saying is alleged. But anyone who goes out of his way to try to campaign, especially for so-called black people and the quote-unquote black church, to accept homosexuality as anything that should be associated with the scriptures. Once again, whatever you do in your personal time or your private life, whatever your personal life choices, that's your business. We're in modern day Babylon / Egypt or / Sodom, whatever you want to call it, modern day Rome. That's acceptable here for you from a legal perspective. But when you try to associate that or correlate that with the scriptures, that's when you go above and beyond. And that's the reason why the Bible is such a threat. And it's going to be a threat in these last days. And anyone who believes in it is going to be rendered a threat in these last days. And when I say believe in it, I'm talking about knows it. I'm not talking about people who just hold it as a prop like so many people do in the so-called Catholic or Christian church. But just getting back to the point, this case is about the relationship between a man and a woman, and somehow Judge Mathis found a way to parlay that into some ramblings about homosexuality and why it's being demonized in the so-called black church. And let's just get back to the point. Most of these pastors in these mega churches are pansexuals or outright homosexuals. Most of the choir leaders are homosexuals. So this notion that the so-called black church condemns homosexuality is nonsense. It's a lie. As a matter of fact, in the city that Judge Mathis's show is filmed in, Chicago, one of the more prominent churches, led by Jeremiah Wright, who was the pastor for Obama, was filled with black homosexuals. That's why Barack Obama chose that church to attend in the first damn place. But once again, it's very clear to me that Judge Mathis, he has an axe to grind when it comes to the homosexual agenda and the so-called black community. There's no doubt in my mind that he's either some type of pansexual or closet homosexual, or maybe he's being paid to do so. But he's had a nationally televised show for 20 years. It's very clear that he had to bend over and get his booty cracked. And he has ridden the GOAT. He is a venerator of the quote-unquote Baphomet. You cannot become as elevated in this society, in the entertainment sphere, as he has been and not have those adherences.
And this is sin. If the church believes that's a sin, and not everybody does.
It's not really a matter of what people believe, it's what you know. You either know the Bible and you've read it, or you don't.
Fornication is certainly a sin. And so
I did a video on fornication a while back because I had so many brothers ask me about it. I might do another one that goes further into depth, but once again, I've already done a video on that topic. Once again, what fornication is any form of sexual wickedness, which is listed in Leviticus from the 18th chapter all the way through the 20th chapter. Meaning what? Homosexuality, incest, bestiality, or aka zoophilia, things of that nature that are forbidden. What this society teaches, which promotes the quote-unquote monogamy paradigm, is that once you get contractually married, if either party has intercourse with another person, that is adultery. That's not what adultery is. Adultery is if a woman sleeps with a man other than her husband. Adultery is if a man sleeps with another man's wife. But a man can have more than one woman according to scriptures. I'm not talking about according to the laws of this land. Fornication is not quote-unquote premarital sex. That is not true. That's something that was added unto or imputed onto the scriptures by the church system at the behest of the U.S. government. That is not what fornication is. Once again, fornication is any form of unlawful sexual intercourse, meaning what? Homosexuality, lesbianism, incest, bestiality, adultery. All you have to do is read Leviticus, the 18th chapters through the 20th chapters, and it tells you what fornication is and what all the laws are on fornication.
Sinning just like the gay folks are sinning in the church.
Let's do it.
And no one in that fake courtroom is asking him, what the hell does that have to do with the case, Your Honor?
You're gonna burn. cliche.
All right. So,
I would preach if I wasn't such a sinner.
At least you admit what you are.
Yeah. So tell me about catching her.
So all right, so she moved in. It was going good, you know. We talked about raising children, and I even talked about helping raising her children and things of that nature if she needed help. And we was going.
Brothers, when you decide to deal with a woman who already has children and you want to get serious with her, please understand that, once again, you got to take your time. Many of these women are idle-minded, and they're looking for someone who's a good person, who's going to take care of their children while they're ruminating in their minds on whether or not they want to be with a person like the defendant right here. It's very obvious that he's not her type. She's a wild chick. You can look at her and see what type of dude she likes. She was out there with the Rough Riders and them, DMX and Dragon and the Locks and them back 20 years ago, sitting on the back of a motorbike while they was popping wheelies and shit. Like, she just got that look on her face. Like, how did I get here? I'm 43 years old and thug niggas don't want me anymore. Now I'm with this guy.
Doing that, and then fast forward to like maybe July. You know, we had a miscarriage. That was unfortunate. It made the relationship a lot more rockier than it was.
You had agreed to have a child with him.
It wasn't a verbal agreement.
Go ahead.
That chick is bugged out of her damn mind. The only reason why she let him get her pregnant most likely is because she was down to her last straw. She was at her wit's end, and she said, if I don't let this guy impregnate me, I'm not going to have anywhere to stay.
It was a physical agreement. You're right. Go ahead.
And so after the miscarriage, she gets a FaceTime phone call, which is like a face-to-face thing. And this happened around like 7 in the morning. And I think it's one of her ex-men or ex-boyfriends or baby daddies or what have you. And like, I'm like, why is he calling at 7 in the morning? I pick up the phone, like she comes at me to take the phone from me. I'm like, no, I want to see who you're talking to. I want to see who's attempting to call you at 7 in the morning. She grabs for the phone. I'm grabbing for, I always have the phone in my possession. I'm grabbing for it. We going back and forth and everything. And
I'll let her tell.
Brothers, look, when it gets to the point where you're that paranoid about what your quote-unquote woman is doing, you should just cut her loose, man. And plus, there are many ways if you want to understand what's going on your woman's social media or on her phone to figure it out. You don't got to be there scrapping, arguing, and wrestling over no damn phone. All that's going to end up happening is you will get locked up.
About that
right.
part.
The phone breaks and her glasses break.
Ma'am?
Yes.
You tell me about that. That's what you're suing for, the damaged property in
I'm
addition
suing
to...
for my damaged property of my iPhone. This is the phone that was damaged, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
Well, on May of 31st of 2018, I got the phone call. I got the FaceTime message, like he said, and it was my daughter's father calling me. But he wanted to tell me something. He wanted to ask me some questions about my daughter, and that's what I was telling Mr. Walker during that time. But he got irate.
The defendant is very upset. Once again, when you deal with a woman who has children, you can't sit back and wonder why she has to be on the phone with the father of one of or all of her children, no matter what time it is. You understand? Like brothers really have to fall back and understand how to take time to themselves and invest in themselves. And when you start to walk outside and just go down the block, when you're investing time in yourself to make yourself the best version of yourself, the women gonna come at you. You don't have to worry about coming at the women. That's not a big deal, man. To be quite frank with you, in this society, most of these women, they don't have any idea how to be women anyway. They have not been trained or prepped. That's why the relationship structure is so corroded. Because the man and the woman, they just sit on the same couch together and neither party really knows what their role is. Most of these dudes have been raised up in black matriarchal environments, so they're accustomed to the overpowering nature of the modern day liberal female. And then the woman was raised in those same environments, so they're used to talking down to men. So that basically means that once the infatuation stage of a relationship has ended, it's only a matter of time before every other day is some big knockdown, drag-out fight. It's only a matter of time. And you have to come to understand whether or not that's something that you want to be a part of your life. Because if you consistently allow relationships to descend into something like that, you're going to end up a broken individual, man.
And did not believe that I was actually doing those things with the person that was
So
calling.
was that the only instance that you found her?
I seen text messages and phone calls and
Same person or others?
see her phone. Sometimes the phone number is unlisted, so it's not a name to the phone number.
Matthew 5:32. But I saw unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery.
But still, Your Honor, if he was such a godly man, he would have found the best.
Judge Mathis needs to stick to the white man's laws and keep the Most High's laws out of his mouth until he knows what the hell he's talking about. That scripture right there proves what fornication is. It's talking about adultery in that context.
To handle this situation without destroying my property.
Look at this broad, how she got her chin all high. That's another example of the liberal black woman. They're proud as hell no matter what they've done in their life. Let me wind this shit back a little bit.
Still, Your Honor, if he was such a godly man, he would have found a better way to handle this situation without destroying my property.
This bro standing there like she's the Queen of England or some shit, with a goddamn skull with butterfly wings tatted on her neck.
And here I have evidence of I had to get a restraining order against him, and I had to file police charges against him to keep him away from me from destroying my property. This is the actual property. These are the glasses that he destroyed, and this is the phone. That's the restraining order.
This is an incident report.
Yes.
But was he charged with
Yes, he
assault?
was. Yes, he was charged with assault.
Sir, were you charged?
I was charged and it was dismissed.
Okay. And this is the phone and the glasses. You tell me about the incident, sir.
Her baby daddy is FaceTiming her at 7. We're going back and forth. She's like, give me the phone. You know, it's him or it's this person. I'm like, no, let me see. I want to make sure, or at least want to answer and call back so I can.
Brother's name is Solomon, but he has no wisdom. Ain't that a bitch? Brothers, you never move in with a woman after 4 months. That is fucking crazy. I don't care how good the coochie is or how nice she's acting. The woman by nature is an actress. I've said this in previous videos. Every year at the Oscars, when they announce the award for Best Female Actor, as they call it now, or Best Actress, the award should just go to all women. Because women by nature are actresses. That's just how they do. That's why so many of them are bitter right now, because a lot of men are starting to figure out what the woman is actually about. This society just allows anything to go. The woman is a beautiful creature when she's being moderated properly. But when she's not being moderated, it's like a spoiled child. A damn Tasmanian devil that you're going to allow into your house. That's why he was so frustrated, because he fell for the okie doke. 4 months and he allows this broad into his house. And she's taking calls from this guy and that guy. I stated at the beginning of the case, the reason why it took so long for their relationship to develop in the first place is because he is not her first option. She'd probably prefer to get back with the baby daddy if she could.
Voice. And she's like, no, give me my phone. We're going back and forth and everything, and the phone falls.
Did you take the phone out of her hand?
I grabbed it.
The answer is yes. You took the phone out of her damn hand because you were a simp and you was upset.
It wasn't in her hand. I think I grabbed it from, like, the floor.
Is that true?
He took it out of my hand because I was trying to call my sister to call the police. He was being very abusive.
You was trying to call your sister to call the police. You could have just called the damn police. But then again, I guess you was too busy scrapping with him. You wouldn't have been able to get the address out.
He was biting me. He was lunging at me, biting me. He tried to choke me out that day. We fought all morning.
Why was it dismissed?
Y'all fought all morning. So, yell up in his little tiny ass apartment, going blow for blow like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. And all he had to do was take his time and get to know someone. Hey, brothers, don't I have a series called Know Who You're Living With? I state all these series really interconnect with one another. It's very important that you brothers have your own spot, man. And that you look at your house or your apartment or wherever you're living like a lion's den. You must look at your place like a lion's den. Yes, people are welcome to visit, but in order for them to even think about staying, you have to have vetted them, totally vetted them.
I don't know why
decided
his
to-
case dismissed. The DA
They
they
should
didn't
have
have
told you
enough
something.
evidence.
If this man choked you and did all that, they should have told you why it was dismissed.
In the beginning, they told me they did not have significant evidence
They tried to say I had a
continue
knife.
the
They
charges.
said I had a
But
knife.
these glasses in the phone, they didn't consider that enough evidence.
At the time, I didn't include that in the police report, Your Honor, because I was just concerned with the assault at that time. I wanted to get away from his home.
This is evidence
And I
of the
took
assault.
the police report and went into the woman's shelter after that.
So he snatched it and it dropped out of his hand?
No, it did not. He snatched it. He bit me. He snatched the phone. Then he threw it at the wall, and it cracked against the wall and slid down the wall
That's a bad man.
and fell on the floor.
That's what it looks like, more so than just dropping. Yeah, this is smashed.
That's smashed
I
because he
drop
threw
my
it.
phone
Bang.
every other day and it doesn't look like this, and I don't have a cover. And neither do you on here. So
Exactly.
it makes sense.
And the reason
and her
why-
glasses, how did this occur?
She was tussling with me, trying to grab the phone. It fell off her face, and like it got messed up.
How? Messed up how?
I probably stepped on him, or like something happened in the tussle. I don't think she could have stepped.
See, this type of shit is Simp 101. This would be the same type of nigga that'd be on comment boards and stuff. Oh, man, we gotta love our black queens and our black empresses and all this other little silly mama's boy shit. And get a woman for the first time in 7 to 8 years and be the first one trying to go back and forth with some broad. Because he has no idea how to understand a woman. Because he has the spirit of a woman trapped within him.
Could have said it.
Why didn't you just give her phone?
Because
Because he was paranoid that somebody else was hitting it. She probably wasn't giving him no ass. Broad hadn't given him any ass for like 2 weeks. He like, somebody fucking this broad.
she was gonna hide the evidence, or like,
So instead, you tussle with her.
yes,
Instead of letting her have her phone,
yes.
you engage in mutual aggression.
Yeah, mutual combat.
If I am to believe him, but I don't. I believe you took her phone and slammed it like she says.
Well, I believe they engaged in mutual combat, but he was the one who initiated it because he was extremely jealous and very upset. Simps still believe in that falling in love, we're going to be together forever stuff. Brothers, the woman is a creature of options. For the most part, they're not ready to be in a long-term relationship with a man to where their roving eye is no longer active until they're, in their early 40s or so. You're dealing with these chicks in their late teens and 20s and all that other shit. That's why I tell you, brothers, for the most part, between the age of 15 and 35, that's when you're going to have a lot of situations occur in your life that can affect your life, whether to the left-hand side or to the right, meaning either to your detriment or to your benefit. And 98% of those possible situations are going to involve a woman. I promise you that. And you can get past that little 20-year stretch without a woman heavily negatively impacting your life. You're going to be in great stead, because by 35, you're going to understand what life is about for the most part. I'm talking about you brothers who, unfortunately, were not raised in an environment where a man could instruct you on certain things that you need to know. From 15 to 35, it's going to be a major time period in your life, and you have to understand how to keep the woman at bay and work on improving yourself.
Now let's get to the phones.
Okay.
The iPhone
Well,
and
it
the
begins
Apple
because
Watch.
I left him and went to North Carolina, and this is why the person was calling me at 7 in the morning to make sure that I was in New York and I was okay. So when I went to North Carolina, behind my back, he went on our account and ordered equipment. He ordered himself an iPhone 8 and an Apple Watch. He told me he was going to pay the remaining balances on the equipment after he left our plan in this last month of October. And he left because we were still arguing with each other.
Sir?
What I did was pretty much I was available for an upgrade with my phone, so I upgraded my phone.
Nigga, you need to upgrade your woman, man. But before that, you need to upgrade your damn self. Brothers, if you find that you always are ending up with a shitty woman, you know what that is? It's because that's what you're attracting. You've been with a shitty woman for 2.5 years. You know why that is? Because you're probably a shitty dude. You're putting out shitty energy. Because when you have upstanding energy, You're going to cut a broad off soon. As soon as she stops a lot of that nonsense and that craziness, you're going to let her go about her business. It's okay. It's okay. But you have to know what you're focused on and what the big picture is. In life, women going to come and go, bro. All right? It's a harsh truth, but it's a truth nonetheless. The woman's going to come and go. Friends are going to come and go. Hopefully, you're going to have a stable enough family situation where family's going to maintain. But some of you, shit, family members might come and go. Who the hell knows? But you got to put the Most High first and understand the image that you want for yourself. Meaning, where do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What do you want your living situation to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Do you have a plan for a business or a career? Something of that sort. The black man has to come out of that job mentality. You brothers should not be working in the white man's corporate office. It's not for the black man at all.
And I got
her bill.
Yes, we were sharing the bill, so I didn't think anything was
in her name.
Yes, under her name. Indeed. We was at the time sharing a bill, and at the time we both signed, like, I thought a contract, which we both shared, I thought we coexisted under that way.
Oh, his name is on the contract?
His name is on the contract, but I am the primary account holder.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, I thought it was up to my ability to upgrade, so I proceeded to upgrade, you know.
Okay.
And that's really all I did.
Did you proceed to pay?
I paid per month, yes.
Paid
He
what?
upgraded to a whole nother carrier, Your Honor. He left my whole carrier and went to another carrier. That's me with the remaining balance.
You have the balance?
Yes.
All he was a simp scorned. He decided he was going to buy a bunch of products on her dime and try to fuck up her credit.
So if she shows me a balance that's just for your line, why shouldn't you pay? Sir?
Because I would think we both liable for it.
Not for your purchases? How's this woman?
This fool said, I would think that we're both liable. So he's so upset at her that he tried to sabotage her account. It's so pathetic. Brothers, never descend to the level of hijinks that will be categorized under something that a woman would do. We gotta be bigger and better than that. Things are not gonna work out in life. It's okay. Let's have our own shit together and move on to the next.
Liable for your purchases.
That's squeezed together.
Yeah, your mind isn't working right. All right, I don't have sufficient evidence, direct evidence of who broke the phone and the glasses. However, when a judge does not have sufficient evidence, but he believes something went on, his challenge is determine who has the most credibility in their testimony. And your testimony lends to more credibility regarding.
Look at the plaintiff. She got her head all high and shit like she's singing opera.
What happened than he is. That's why I'm granting you the judgment for the phone and the glasses. And if you purchase something on a woman's account, it's yours, then you pay for it.
Did you hear what Mathis stated? He didn't say when you purchase something on an account that you share with another person. He said a woman's account because he knows that what the defendant did, that shit wasn't manly. You don't run out and buy a whole bunch of phones and other products to try to fuck up some woman's credit because you mad at her. That's some shit that a woman does. Brothers have to start having a little bit more sense of self. Okay, it didn't work. That's fine. Bye. Brothers, 99% of the time, if you're an upstanding dude, that relationship that didn't work out, the woman will be back in some way, shape, or form. Hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. Yeah, because you ain't shit.
And have the obligation to pay your bill? Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. I just want to say I think you're very irresponsible.
I mean, we shouldn't have to go through a miscarriage for us both to, like, learn a lesson.
You should have gave me more time to decide if I wanted to have a baby or not.
He should have gave you more time to decide whether or not you wanted to have a baby. Well, how much time did you need before you decided to move into his place? Oh, I know. No time at all because you were desperate. It is what it is. Ain't nobody letting you just move into their place unless they want something from you. A lot of these dudes, they want to have that quote-unquote family stuff, but they want it on their terms. It is what it is. Once again, brothers, if you're with a liberal black woman, understand what you're going to have to deal with. What are you willing to tolerate? Whatever you're willing to tolerate is going to determine what you endure. So peace.